Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Sunday, August 28th, 2022, the last Sunday in August, the second to last Sunday without NFL action. ECSI VIP'S, this is how you want to finish out a month. Monday, we go 0-1 on a team total, and we are on a 6-game heater. Winners of 6 in a row, 6-1 this week. Last night, 2-0, as we take on the Braves, plus 106, down 4-0, 4-2, 5-4. In comes Kelly Jansen. And bases loaded, infield hit, walk, 6-5 walk-off. About time we got one of those. It's been a while since we got one of those. I think they only owe us about another 25 this year on that one. Our other play was Vanderbilt, -6. First half, 9-point favorites. Big move overnight yesterday into the morning. First half winner, 21-10, I think it was. Down 7-0, 21 unanswered. But if you woke up this morning and looked at that final score, Vanderbilt outscored Hawaii second at 42-0. Look out, Alabama. Here comes Vanderbilt this year. LOL. But it's been a great, great week. Super stoked. Envelope Monday is just 13 and a half hours. We'll do a little action parlay today. FedEx Cup rain delay kind of derailed where we were heading. Schauffele was 1 back, now 4 back, but in comes Rory, 4 back, already posted -17 going in the final round. We know if anyone can come back, it's him, but Scheffler just stiff-arming the competition. Looking to win the FedEx Cup. And I saw something outrageous, like he'd win over $30 million for the year, which would be one hell of a feat. It would be a record in the PGA. But my partner in crime is back, and I was going to DM him a question and ask him if he remembers how to do this. It seems like it's been so long. But anyways, he's been busy on his end. We're busy on our end. So let's bring him in from the Palm Tree State himself, the one and only Mr. Scott E. Webb. Morning, Scott.
Hey, Jeff. It's good to be here Sunday morning. College football started, right? And all good. I played 2 games yesterday, won both in college football. I did not do well in baseball. I played only 1, lost. I was on I was on the Rays yesterday in the first 5 innings with Springs, and he didn't do very well. So Rich Hill pitched pretty well. Struck out 11, I think, something like that. I'm like, what the hell happened to that guy? Anyway, whatever, it is what it is, and you move on to Sunday. I mean, every day is a new day, so you move forward. But I wasn't the biggest fan of college football week 0 just because there wasn't really anything good to watch. Northwestern came out and played pretty well. I think that in the biggest way I can say this, in college football, coaches matter. And I think that game showed that, right? So if you don't think that coaches just go through the motions, watch Nebraska, because, he thinks he's a coach. And I will tell you that they forget the number one thing a coach is supposed to do. It's not win games. Winning games is a bipartisan of what a coach does. And a coach makes players better. And I think he looks at it the other way. I think he looks at it like his players are supposed to make him look good. And it's a bad scenario in Nebraska.
Well, you come out guns a-blazing. I have a soft spot for them, not like when I was growing up. Again, I had to post the tweet that I think I put up for the last 20 years. Diehard Nebraska fan, early 80s, Dr. Tom Osborne, Irvin Fryer, Orange Bowl, Tommy Frazier. I mean, the list is endless, a sea of red. I say this every time it's 4th and 8. I look you straight in the eye and say, we're going to run the ball, and you can't stop it. And that's the way it was. And this team was a juggernaut. It was, 10, 11 wins. It was get to the dance. They had a hard time winning it, but they did win some national championships. I applauded, I repeat, for the 100th time, I applauded the Scott Frost hiring. He did a hell of a job at UCF. Former alum. You would think he'd bring the passion. I'll just go right to yesterday. 28-17 lead, third quarter, and he got cute and he did an onside kick, and the rest was history. That was it. And so your start, your lead in to me, I agree with, but I also will add that coaches, good coaches, put their players in position to win. He put them in a position to fail. Period. End of discussion. After that onside kick, the game was over. The momentum was back on Northwestern, and then they do that hurry up. Then Nebraska's holding their hands on the hips. They're out of gas. The quarterback couldn't hit you wide open, 5 feet in front of him in the second half.
Hey, I'm not little.
And the coach shined. There's Mark Whipple, who they bring over from UMass, who put a few wrinkles. And again, offensively, it wasn't the problem. It was just that when they were on their heels, they had no answer. And again, Scott Frost is exposed. And a team, he got an extra year. He should have been fired last year. He got the extra year this year. This was the game circled. Listen, they were at one point 14-point favorites. They closed 11-point favorites. Okay, this is a game you had to win, so everyone in Nebraska could at least breathe. Hey, we're 1-0. It was a game we were supposed to win because he's like 5 and forever in one possession games, and he lost another one. Now they got to sit in their shit. They should have left him at the pub. Let Whipple coach the rest of the year. I mean, you cannot start that season with the way that they lost there. That's all on him. And I hate blaming coaches. It's all on him.
Yeah, it's that was the biggest game of the day. But if you put that game in a regular Saturday, it's just a blend of mix into the game. So too bad for him that it was a standout game. It was in a different country and whatever, and all the other stuff that goes along with it. But it's just a scenario that plays out over and over. I mean, just looking at the box score, Northwestern ran the ball 214 yards, and if you're in the Big Ten and you can't stop the run, you're in trouble. So I don't see Northwestern as a powerhouse Big Ten team. So, you're going to start playing some of these other schools that can actually perform, and you gave up 528 yards. Good luck.
And Nebraska is gifted this year. They don't play Ohio State. And nothing against Northwestern. I love the coach. Riley was on for the last 2 weeks. He loved Northwestern. He thinks they're going to be a surprise this year. Not going bowling or anything, but from where they were last year. Again, the coach proved it. If the Nebraska AD could have switched coaches and left the building, he would have done that. We know that for a fact. It's just a scar that, again, I just get so tired of the Scott Frost bashing, and I hate the coach bashing, and it is what it is. If you're giving up 500 plus yards to Northwestern in the first game of the year, you had a whole year to prepare for this game. A whole year.
He should have not had him out there counting pukes.
Oh, exactly. I know. And then supposedly there was a little disruption. He lost control of the team, a late night casino and pub run or something. Again, I hate to say it, he's already lost control. Listen, if they start the season 0-3, 0-4, maybe they make a move. Usually you don't see it in college because it just turns into a shit show. But again, we're 11 minutes in, and I think 8 of it's on Scott Frost in Nebraska, and it's being
Hey, well,
so
the good news is I played on and supported your daughter's school.
14-0. Now there's a good story. They had a 14-0 lead. They were 26-point underdogs. They lose by 11. But that was a team that you could see was well coached. He lost his starting quarterback and his number one wide receiver, and they still showed guts. They showed moxie. They showed heart, and they showed a lot more than Scott Frost did.
Well, what was good about what they did was they were competitive, and they haven't been for a while. And I just thought Utah State was not the right team to blow them out. So I thought it was going to be one of those spots where the line was too big. I took the 25 points, and then they scored 2 touchdowns. I'm like, holy shit, this game's going to be a winner, and we just started. But Utah State put a little some things together, and Connecticut can't find a way to throw the football, so they ran the ball pretty well. But we'll see. I mean, that's a very positive sign though for a school that's been so bad, and that's really good. So I liked that, and I put on our Discord channel, I put a Illinois play in there 2 or 3 days ago, and they just went out, and the ideal here is that Wyoming's in a total rebuild, and they're playing a Big Ten school, and I don't know how many people know this, but Wyoming is 1-19 against teams like that, and they're now in a spot where they had to face a Big Ten school that got a transfer quarterback out of the portal. Not that he was the greatest quarterback in the world, but he was better than what they had. But they were big, and they're going to beat them up, and they're going to wear them down, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, they ended up scoring 38 points in the game, so that was a pretty good one. So college football for me was good. Looking forward more to this coming weekend, where you got Ohio State and Notre Dame and some of these other games that people are interested in. That Ohio State line is just climbing, man.
They're a wagon. I'm waiting for the team total. I was hoping 37 and a hook. Don't give me 38, 39. They're an absolute offensive wagon this year. Now, the funny thing is, with them, there'll be a hiccup. They won't be underdogs at all this year, like Alabama. It'll be interesting to see if anyone picks them off, and if so, who is it? But let me get a quick change up here for you before we move on. I had to sit in this shit for 2 decades with Tom Brady. Father Tom. The only person in this world that has a family, the only person that every time, he has to bring a kid to school or something, the world stops, and you see him spitting venom. I could give a rat's ass at 45 that he needed to take 10, 12 days off because his wife said they had to go on this vacation. I don't understand why it's a big deal. Tom didn't want to be there from the first point. He already retired. Okay. He wanted to go to Miami. Okay. That blew up in his face. Okay. You got your coach fired. Okay. Now you're not happy. Why? Gronk's not coming back. Your O-line, your left tackle's hurt, and you needed an extra 10 days with the family. Now you're in, you're out. What's the temperature and what the hell is going on down there?
I think everybody down here just glad he's here. So, I mean, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to people that love NFL football. I mean, it's not something that you normally see happen, but you also don't normally see a 45-year-old guy play quarterback. Now, I watched him play last night, and he played 1 series. I think he was 6 for 8, but or something like that. But one of them was just an absolute drop, hit him right in the chest. So he would have been 7 for 8. They went down and kicked a field goal. He threw hard. I mean, he looked well. He didn't have any issues. I don't know about all this personal shit that he's got going on. it's hard to read into because I don't know that everything has been released, right? I mean, he makes it sound like, he's living a hell, but there's no way in hell Tom Brady lives in hell. So, it's one of these scenarios where I just blow it all off and go, okay, you're an NFL football player. If you made an arrangement with the team that you were going to be gone for 10 days, good for you, whatever. I mean, you're 45 years old. I don't give a shit. It's just like, Aaron Rodgers and a lot of these other guys, they haven't even played at all. I mean, not even one snap in preseason, but they've been in practice the whole time. How much of that stuff they need, I don't know. I mean, they do a lot of off-season stuff, golfing and whatever the hell else they do. But those guys are good at what they do, man. And he's older than head coaches in the NFL probably. So I just sit there and think to myself, if you got the arrangement and you can do it, then go do it. Life. When I was younger, I probably would have thought a lot differently than I do now that I'm gold and gray, because I always think that life is hard. It is. It's hard. You have to get up every day, and you have to fight every day. And when you fight and you win repeatedly, and you've won a lot, like Tom Brady has, sometimes you can have some rewards in between. And I don't mind that he gets whatever he gets, but you got to go out and produce too. So if you don't produce, then you don't play. And if you don't play, then it is what it is. And we'll see how he turns out. I don't know how committed he is to this season. I don't know any of that stuff. But it's hard to get to know somebody on that level when you're just watching through the news media.
MLB, it's been a week since you and I have done a show together. The mighty still mighty. The Yankees are back. It was funny yesterday.
The Yankees got one hit yesterday against Oakland.
Yeah, well, they had won 5 in a row too, so that was my
No,
point.
I know.
Cleveland 2 days in a row, short favorites on flips. They lose. Big dogs last night, and I was watching that as I was trying to get to sleep. And Castillo, here's a stat for you. First 2 innings, 19 fouled off pitches he had through 2 innings. And it was lively. The home plate umpire had a huge strike zone, and they were getting a little antsy. But my point was 3-1 lead, and in comes that Cleveland team, lead off walk, double, flare to left, double, home run, whatever it was, and they win 4-3. Actually, it wasn't a home run. But my point is, it's Cleveland being Cleveland, and the announcers were like, they will not succeed in the playoffs because they don't hit the long ball. And Seattle at one point had 4 hits, and 3 of them were solo homers. And today you got Savali versus Ray. But it's been a week, Scotty. Give us your overview of what has transpired this week in the MLB, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and what you're thinking in the final 4.5, 5 weeks.
Well, Billy sent me a messenger on Facebook 2 days ago. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't remember. He had some plays he wanted me to give him some suggestions on. And I told him, I said, well, my strategy is not the same now as it was even a month ago. So my strategy currently is to be very selective. I'm not playing a lot of games in Major League Baseball. And I certainly am not playing any teams that are what I would consider to be bad teams. I am only considering to play good teams against bad teams. Now, I get it. You're going to talk about run lines, and you're going to talk about team totals, and we're going to talk about, big spreads. But the truth of the matter is there is certainly a very select group of baseball teams that are better than the rest of them. And at this time of year, the teams that aren't as good as the rest of them have either given up or are not trying, or they just are not as good and can't compete at the same level. And you see it in the lines every day. I mean, every single day, if you got a good team against a bad team, it's 250 to 300 every day. So you just got to figure out how to get in those games. And that's kind of what my strategies has been. and for the most part, it's doing pretty good. I mean, I messed up yesterday where I got involved where I thought Rich Hill was going to be a bad pitching spot. But again, those are two teams that are neck and neck. I shouldn't say neck and neck. I mean, there's some definite variation between the two in terms of the quality of opponents. But I'm looking for the games where Philadelphia is beating the shit out of Pittsburgh every day, and you got to go play that stuff. I mean, I know that that's a transition from what we always talk about, and what we always talk about is, don't play these big favorites and don't do this and don't do that. But I'm just going to tell you, if you're playing them, you're going to win. That's you're just going to win more money than you're going to lose. You just are. You just have to figure out how to lower the. I got burned on it once. I played the Mets over the Colorado Rockies, and they won 7-6 instead of winning 8-6. But most of it's happening pretty regular. I mean, and you got to pick your spots, right? I mean, you got the Dodgers who just don't lose to anybody. Of course, they lost yesterday, but they don't lose to anybody. And you got Urias on the mound today. But I'm going to tell you, this kid that's pitching for Miami is as good as they come. Edward Cabrera, since he's come back off the disabled list and put stuff together, I mean, the guy throws 100 miles an hour. He's got great stuff, and I'm not going to touch that game, even though Urias is great. I'm just not going to go there. In Miami is number 30 against left-handed pitching. So, if you wanted to try to switch this around and try to get a -1.5, good luck trying to hit this kid Cabrera. I mean, Jesus Christ. He's got a strikeout rate that's higher than anybody on the board today. And there's some good pitchers out there. I mean, Scherzer's on the mound today. You got Scherzer, you got Robbie Ray, who can strike guys out. You got Savali, who's striking people out for some reason. And this kid leads the way. He's really good. So I just think that when you pick your spots right, and you can go and you can find, the Philadelphia's beating the crap out of Pittsburgh's every day. You get on those games because you're going to win them. Today Syndergaard plays Contreras, and it's not a spot I want to be involved in, just because Rosie can throw 100 miles an hour, and every once in a while he can throw a good game together, and I don't think Syndergaard is, all that. So anyway, I've picked some spots, and that's kind of what my strategy has been, because just like what you said about Cleveland and Seattle, right? There's been times when I thought, okay, well, Sticks was a good spot for him to play, and we should have been on him, and then he loses. Bieber was a good spot, and he loses. And then yesterday, I forget who pitched yesterday. It was Plesac, and then you put him out there, and he wins. I mean, it's like, what the hell? So but those are two teams that are playoff teams. They're competitive all the way through. They don't give an inch, right? And you see teams, the Angels. Yeah, I know they beat Toronto a couple of times here. Toronto hasn't scored for 2 days. But the Angels are a team that coming into that, they just were dead they were just dead. And I still don't like what they're doing, even though they've won the last 2 days. But that's a team that's given up, It's not hard to find some of these teams that just lay down and go away, because they just don't have it. They don't have the players or the oomph to get over these 162 games. It's a long season, man.
Well, going back to before we get into today's board, that Sticks, I didn't like Sticks' spot coming off the 14 strikeouts. We always talk about pitchers coming off no-hitters, near no-hitters. Well, when you 14 strikeouts, it's a lot of tax on the arm. I know it's just pitches, but
he gave up a 3-run homer, and that was it.
First
that was enough.
That was it. 3 to
1. That was enough. They couldn't score.
So, anyways, no, I agree what you're saying with the MLB. For me, again, it's funny Billy reached out to you. I'm glad he did, because he keeps picking my brain, and I'm like, Billy, because our eyes are trained to see certain things. Well, the Red Sox look good here. They're 3-16 their last 19, Billy. I don't care because Vegas wants you to think they look good here. And then there was another game that he reached out to me and said the same thing. And I'm like, the same thing. This team hasn't won in forever. It was the Twinkies. And they had lost 5 or 6 in a row. So, the more of these teams I'm just crossing off the list and say, see you in the spring, there's value. There's opportunity, I should say. We're into Sunday, Scott. We've released 7 plays all week. We lost our first one on Monday. We've won our last 6. So I put together a little sprinkle of a parlay today. There's a couple of games that intrigue me. And we move on and get ready for week 1 of college next weekend. And we'll see what the baseball schedule brings. Again, there's some good pitchers, like you said. You didn't mention Verlander going for the Cy Young goes today as well. So the board's yours. You don't have to go through all of them if you don't want to. You can just it's your day.
It's like I said, that Miami and Dodgers game, I think is going to be a really good game. I thought that whole series with the way Miami lined up their pitchers was going to be a little tough on the Dodgers because Miami can pitch. They just can't score a run. They can't hit. But Cincinnati and Washington is a game that in the middle of the season I'd be playing right now. I would play Cincinnati and Lodelo today. If it was the middle of the season, I would play them. These are 2 teams that don't give a shit. So why bother putting your money on 2 teams that don't care? But I think Lodelo is a much better pitcher. Corbin is he's one of the worst pitchers in baseball. He's pitched a little better. I say a little better, but he's just terrible. I mean, he's got a 2.08 whip rate. So he's putting 2 guys on base every inning he's out there. And Cincinnati's been hitting the ball a little bit. So I don't like Washington at all. And you're getting a small price, so I don't mind anybody playing that game. I just, like I said, that's not my cup of tea right now. I'm not looking for that. Kluber and Pivetta is too close of a game for me. Kluber's been one of those guys that he's made lots of starts. He's pitched well for Tampa Bay, and Pivetta is one of those guys that's hot and cold, and he's off of a hot game. So I'm just going to leave that one alone. I told you about Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. This is a game you want to be betting on Philadelphia. I don't know how you're going to bet them, but if you're going to bet them, it's not going to surprise me if they go out there and win 10-1. But this is Pittsburgh with Contreras on the mound, and he's only going now 5 innings or so, maybe 6. They cut him down, shut him down for a little while. He's a young kid that he's a prospect that he throws really hard, and he hasn't got as many strikeouts as you'd like to see for a guy that throws that hard. But I don't like Syndergaard at all. But I am going to be on this one. This is the one game I'm playing. I'm playing Toronto today. And I know that Toronto hasn't scored in 2 days. I know their offense has kind of fallen a little bit. They still rank 20th in offense, even though they haven't scored in 2 days. So that tells you how good their offense was up to those 2 days. They are number 10 in baseball against left-handed pitching, and Davidson's on the mound for the Angels. Now, Davidson's the guy they got from the Braves, and at one time was a Braves prospect, and he's probably an Angels prospect, I suppose, at this point. He is off of a game score 41, and prior to that, he threw a 50-something, but his game score for the whole season is a 42. He has been nothing but disastrous. His Sierra number is a 6.52. His xFIP's a 608. He's got a expected weighted on base percentage of 363. That's terrible. So I'm expecting the bats to wake up a little bit here for the right-handed lineup of the Blue Jays. They're very dominantly right-handed, and now they get to face a lefty that's not got a lot of juice. He's not a big strikeout guy. 3 strikeouts per 9 innings, and he walks 5, so he walks more guys than he strikes out. So I like that, and his batting average against is 271. His CSW, which is called strikes and swing and miss percentage, is 21, which is one of the lowest on the board today. So And that means he's not out there fooling people. He's not getting swings and misses, and he's not getting called strikes. So I think this is a spot where Toronto gets well in terms of hitting, and they're going to face the Angels are going to face Stripling, and I know Stripling has been one of these guys that you sit here and go, oh my God, it's Ross Stripling. Well, Jesus Christ, Ross Stripling is a 56 game score on the season. His last seven's a 61. He's been ace-like. He's been very dominant. He's a 2.47, 2.56 Sierra number. He's allowing 0.78 guys on base per inning, not even one. He's got a 197 batting average against, and what I really like, he's got a ground ball rate of 53%. Means it's hard to get damaging blows against him. So I do like the idea that Toronto has the better pitcher today. I think they're going to hit today. And even if all that fails, the Angels have the where is it? They are 30, 29, 28, 27th ranked bullpen this week. So I like the idea that even if all that fails, we can get their bullpen in there and we can hit against their bullpen. So I'm taking minus 125, which is Toronto on the run line, minus 1.5. Obviously, Scherzer is going to be a big favorite today, but what I did notice is over his career pitching against Colorado, he struggled a little bit. But I do like the idea that he's off of a poor start. He should pitch pretty well. Marquez is off a poor start, but he hasn't pitched great like all year. But he's been pitching a little bit better, and he's done good against the Mets. So this is kind of a weird spot. The Mets offense has been pretty good. Colorado's has gone to the shitter. So, I mean, it's not very good for Colorado. And then you got this Baltimore and Houston game, and Baltimore just keeps putting pitchers out there you never heard of that go out there and throw 8 innings and only give up 2 hits and beat the Astros and shit. I don't think that's going to happen today. Voth is probably their worst pitcher.
Can you imagine Baltimore is 8 games over 500, 67 and 59, and what a story. And I don't want to say they're a year ahead of schedule. They're a couple years ahead of schedule. They say, hey, we got to get rid of Trey. We just trust us, get some prospects. We're going to get rid of Lopez. Just trust us. And the team didn't budge. They just said, all right, we're going to keep playing the way we've been playing. We've been saying for months, the pesky Orioles. The pesky Orioles. Wait till the world sees Grayson Rodriguez up there.
Well, the issue that I'm going to run into with the Orioles is, are they the Tigers of last year, where the Tigers played pretty well at the end of the season and everybody thought the Tigers were going to be good this year? Now the Tigers are one of the worst teams in baseball. That happens. And, that's a concern. The Miami Marlins were that way 2 or 3 years ago. That COVID year, they made the playoffs and everybody thought they were going to be good. Well, they can't hit. And, the Orioles at least are not in a position where they can't hit. They got some guys that can hit. Their problem is I don't know where they got these guys to come out and pitch. They're not good pitchers. They're not. So somehow they've turned on a pitching light bulb and got smart pitching, and holy shit, they can pitch. But Voth he's a retread from the Nationals, and holy shit, he's no good. So they ought to get destroyed today. And then I don't know what to tell you what's going on with this Manaea kid in the Padres. I mean, he's been his projected WAR is 0.7 or something like that. And that's still a little bit above average. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's above a AAA replacement player by a little bit. But he was supposed to be one of the aces for Oakland, and then he's supposed to come over to San Diego and be a really good left-handed dominant pitcher, and he's been terrible. And he's going to face Heasley, who's a right-handed terrible pitcher for Kansas City. So this is a spot where if you really wanted to try to pick on a team, this is San Diego. You should be able to pick on Heasley. I just don't trust Manaea at all. So I didn't back him, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for these spots where San Diego gets to play Kansas City. And you got Kansas City's worst pitcher on the mound. This is one of those places where if you can find your strength to go in there and figure out how you want to bet Manaea, go right ahead. Now, San Francisco, Minnesota is a weird matchup because they're about the even teams. Sanchez has been terrible, but you know what? Sanchez used to pitch for the Giants, and every time that he goes back and pitches against the Giants, he just loves to pitch against the Giants and stick it right to them. So I don't, and then Minnesota made a comeback last night to win the game against San Francisco. So, this is another team of two teams that are, 500-ish type teams. And then, this damn Arizona team, when they got what's his name, Merrill Kelly on the mound, or they got Gallen on the mound, they're as good as anybody can, they're as good a team as anybody. They don't have that today. They got Davies on the mound today, and Davies gets hit a lot, and Cease is off of bad performance. So this is a spot where you would want to take the White Sox. Now, the problem is I don't like the White Sox offense right now, and I think Tony La Russa is an asshole, and I just don't want to bet on that team. So I don't want to do it. Milwaukee and Chicago, Milwaukee is one of those teams that gets up there and seems like they just have a ceiling. They can't go above that ceiling. They get 3, 4, 5 games above 500, and then it's like, okay, well, you can't get any more than that.
Not to pile on, but let's pile on. Go back to March where those 5 guys came up to me within 10 minutes, printing money, the Brewers to win the division, the Brewers to, hey, Jeff, the Brewers, look at all these tickets. Well, I just want to remind those guys as we currently stand, Milwaukee with 66 wins, and the Cardinals that we've been talking about for how long? 73 wins. Thanks for playing.
Well, I can tell you this, Milwaukee's not going to make the playoffs. Nope. They ain't going to make it. Lauer's been good and bad. He's mostly good than he is bad, and Sampson's mostly bad than he is good. But the Cubs just pop up there every once in a while and beat these good teams. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did that today. I'm just going to stay away. Detroit got a good performance now 2 times in a row out of Rodriguez. Yesterday he pitched a good game. Erod.
The return of, and I left one game on the bench. That was, and I couldn't figure this one out. It was comical, Scotty. Detroit's team total yesterday, 3.5 over minus 125, and it dropped to 119. And me and Riley were laughing because the return of Keuchel, he's a cash cow. Just take the team total over every time Keuchel steps on the mound. I left it on the desk, and bing, bang, boom. I'm like shaking my head. Are you kidding me?
It's just, it's that way, right? So then you have Arihara pitching for Texas, and this will be his 3rd start. And I don't think people realize that he's a pretty good pitcher. And he's facing Hutchison today, and Hutchison's not a very good pitcher, but he's just a retread guy that's just holding his own out there, doing as best he can. Texas certainly has an advantage, and Texas is the number 2 offense in baseball right now. So maybe this is their explosion time, and they wake up and, they've been shut down for, Erod shut them down. So maybe they come back and they hit some today. I just didn't back it because Ariar is off the game score 70. So I figure he's not going to do as well today. Maybe they both give up runs, and maybe you look at an over or something like that today. The Yankees have Schmidt pitching tonight against Martinez. Again, this is one of those spots where you want to look at, boy, this is a good team against a bad team. And Schmidt, in terms of value, he doesn't start a lot. He's made a few starts. I mean, on the season, he's pitched pretty well. Martinez is a guy that he had a good month. He's only pitched a couple of starts, but he's got a good strikeout rate. But I think if you're going to support anybody, you got to support the Yankees here, especially off of getting 1 hit. So I figure the Yankees are a better spot here today. It's just that trying to get into some of these games it makes it hard. Cleveland, Seattle, these are 2 toss-up games. These have been a toss-up game every weekend, so I'm not betting into this. Robbie, something happened to Savali. I don't know what happened to him. I got to dig deeper, but he's found a new pitcher. He's done something because his strikeout rate is 11.09. His walk rate's a 1. His Sierra number is 2.66. His xFIP's a 2. All coming back off of the disabled list, and he's done something where he's changed. Savali used to be the guy that was worse than Plesac, and you could go in there and he could get beat up every time he pitches. It's just clockwork. But now, shit, the last few starts, he's been going out there and just dominating everybody. He's got a last 7 starts, 61. Game score 61. Jesus Christ. I mean, that's as good as anybody in baseball. And I'm not. Okay, Savali woke up. I don't know. Something happened to him. And then I am going to consider one of these games tonight. This is Atlanta and St. Louis. And the consideration here, St. Louis is the number 3 offense in baseball. They got a bunch of guys. There's only 2 guys not hitting on their whole team. Everybody else is hitting, and they're going to face Odorizzi tonight. Odorizzi is off a game score 63, which is like his second best game of the entire season. And he doesn't string these good games back to back anymore. He's got a 4.60 xFIP at 4.68 Sierra. He's got a 317 batting average against, a 1.63 whip rate, a small strikeouts percentage. So balls are going to be put in play. I'm not afraid of playing a team total over here for St. Louis. And right now it was 4.5, and it was a plus money. So I'm thinking that's it's not unrealistic that St. Louis can put some runs on the board. Now, I guess the best way I would think about it is if they say they score 3 runs off Odorizzi, they still got to score 2 more to make it happen. And Atlanta's got a pretty good bullpen, so that's where I'm considering this game. I would like to see them score 4 runs off Odorizzi. But we'll see. I haven't pulled the trigger on that one yet, but that was the other one I'm considering.
Yeah, it looks like to me, and a St. Louis number, the overnight number was 131. We were on St. Louis yesterday. Overnight number, they were favored by 115 wake up, and then, Atlanta was the favorite. It was a tough matchup. Montgomery has been lights out for St. Louis and Atlanta. I wanted to go back because I hadn't done a show with you. I read the market. And the other day Strider came into town. No one's really hotter than St. Louis. They were like 17-5 in the month of August. Yet Atlanta was minus 160 in St. Louis. I mean, that was just like a telltale sign to me, And what caught my eye yesterday was the night before. Montgomery opened up minus 115. You see the flip, you see where the money's coming. But again, I respect the opening number and was able to get lucky. Jansen blows in the ninth. Look, any Houston backers, it looks like Alvarez will be sitting out today. It's his Sunday day of rest there. With Verlander, they probably won't need many runs. But again, this Baltimore team, I don't know what to say about them. Good story. The board itself, a hell of a breakdown for me. I do have a slight lean with St. Louis tonight. I think it's actually a Red Sox number, but I haven't seen them sweep an Eastern opponent all year. Kluber's had some great starts against the Red Sox. I'm not going to back them, but it looks like a Red Sox number to me. I agree with you with Toronto. I went back last week. If it wasn't for the Yankees laying down in that 4-game series, and then they came to Boston and swept the Red Sox, they were outside looking in. I think Toronto is your Brewer version in the National League. Unfortunately, they got 68 wins. I mean, they would really have to struggle. Tampa's got one more win than them. Cleveland's at 67. Seattle's at 69. It's going to be a crazy September.
Well, I can tell you, Tampa's put themselves back in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
They were barely in the playoffs and fighting for the last playoff spot. Now they're not. So they're sort of right back up in there. I don't know how they're doing it because they still can't score. But whatever. I mean, it's baseball. Shit. It's the way it works sometimes. It's the best team in baseball. The Dodgers. What was it? 1-0 or 2-1 yesterday or something like that. I mean, I get it. I got Alcantara pitched against May. What a matchup, right? May coming back off the disabled list, throwing 75 million miles an hour and red hair flowing everywhere. And, it's a 2-1 game, but whatever. I mean, everybody sits there and thinks, okay, well, the Dodgers don't have any pitching. Let me share this with you. If you go and you look at, let me flip this over so that I can get it where I need it to go. Projection numbers for the final part of the year, the Dodgers. And if I go to Streamer, which I use, I use Streamer and Zips. So if you're a starting pitcher and you're a 3 WAR in starting pitcher, you're pretty good. If you're a 4 or 5 WAR, well, let's put it this way: these are RA9 numbers, but if you're a 4, say you're all-star level. If you're 5 and 6, those are getting close to MVP Cy Young kind of numbers. Well, Tony Gonsolin's a 5.6 rate RA9 WAR, and Julio Urias 4.9, and Tyler Anderson 4.7. I mean, they got 3 guys that are above all-star level. Name me another team that's got 3 guys other than the Mets that are like all-star level pitchers. I mean,
and I've been they're just not the big household names.
Yeah, you just don't know who the hell they are. And then they got May back, and May's probably going to be just as good as those guys. So what the hell ever. I mean, Jesus Christ. I guess they don't need Walker Buehler.
Well, if that was, Kershaw in his old days, Walker Buehler and whatever, again, they're getting the job done. I was trying to compare some matchups here. And again, I've been saying this now for 2 months. TJ, again, if you're listening, God bless you. I can't wait. I'm not rooting for the Mets. I just think it's the Mets year in the National League. Even though, listen, the Dodgers are going to be favored over them. They're not going to be a huge favorite.
So the Mets, their projected WAR numbers are Scherzer's a 5. So that means Gonsolin's just as good as he is. Bassett's a 3.8. Bassett would be the 4th best pitcher then for the Dodgers. Obviously you have DeGrom, but he's at a 2.3. That's just because he's building up. He hasn't pitched enough. And then you got Carrasco at 2.3, Walker at 2.8, and Peterson at 2. So they don't stack up, and everybody thinks, okay, well, they're going to stack up really well. Well, the top 3 guys are going to match up to the Dodgers' top 3 guys, and theoretically, according to RA9 WAR projections, the Dodgers have the better pitchers.
You don't have the better closer, and I'll just leave it right there.
No, there's no question about that. I mean, I can tell you what that is too. Edwin Diaz 2.2, right? Edwin Diaz 2.2, and then for the Dodgers, Craig Kimbrell minus 0.1. That means that a AAA prospect could come up and do better than he does.
And again, watching the Braves last night, that's another edge that the Mets have. There's certain teams that have that back end edge, the Bridgies. They were talking about Seattle and, of course, the kiss of death. 52-0 with a lead going into the 7th inning last night. Thanks for playing there. But again, the back ends and the closer, Diaz is back to that rookie form, Diaz, when he was in Seattle. Listen, I am not taking one lick away from the Dodgers because, as you you've mentioned a lot, offensively, you would say the Dodgers are longer. They are on paper. But in the playoffs, especially the further we get, it's the guy. I'm not talking the Alonsos. I'm not talking the Lindors and it's the Nemos of the world. It's these other guys that guys get hot at the right time, or they're in that right spot, Scotty.
Marte, for example. Marte could be a big guy.
Exactly. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. And again, no one's talking about the Cardinals. I mean, pitching staff, they don't match up. Back end, they don't match up. I mean, I had a game 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, 12 days ago. They brought Jordan Hicks in, and it was like walk, hit by pitch, pass ball, wild pitch. Thank God they came back and won. I'm like, and he comes on yesterday, 2nd and 3rd, no outs. And I'm like, this is over. But he got out of it. But again, you need that, Scotty. especially if your front end is not where you want it to be?
Well, it's going to be interesting because at the beginning of the season, we talked all about St. Louis had the best offense in that league, and it wasn't even close. They might even have had the best offense in all of the National League. Of course, the Dodgers have kind of said, "No, wait a minute, hold my beer. We're better than everybody." But having said that, say they have the second best offense in the National League. We talked about how the starting pitching wasn't as good. It's certainly not as deep. But Adam Wainwright has gone out there and pitched like an ace again. And he's had his moments of failure, but and then they brought in Jordan Montgomery, and I don't know what happened to him. He woke up since they brought him over, but he's a viable number 2 in that spot. And you got Miles Michaelis, who just finds ways to win games. And they got Jose Quintana out there from the left-hand side. So he's not the greatest guy in the world either, but he's better than Matt, and he's better than Hudson, and he's better than all these other guys that we thought were going to drag them down because they were going to have to use them. They don't have to use them. So they're in advantageous situations now over and over and over. So I like the idea here that St. Louis is at least competitive. Of course, they're not really showing how competitive they are against the Braves, are they?
Closing thoughts.
Well, closing thoughts I'm excited for college football this week. So I mean, I'm excited for that. Obviously, I'm not going to go out there and waste all my money on the first weekend of college football. I'm a data guy, so I need numbers to work off of anyway. So everything I've got is going to be projection based. So I won't go out there and waste my money on that. I'm going to be very limited on baseball. That doesn't mean I'm not going to play. It just means I'm not going to have 5 games, 3 games, 2 games very often. It's probably one and done. That's it. And then kind of going from there, because I think that's my philosophy. I told you was good teams picking on bad teams and seeing what I can do to get involved in those games, and then really ratcheting up football until we get into the playoff time for baseball.
For me, it's been a great week, a great way to end August. I'll just throw my FedEx Cup 2 seconds. The rain delay saved Scotty Scheffler's butt. Yesterday, leaking oil. Here comes Xander, one off. Actually tied a couple times at a couple points. Rain delay, and Scheffler now with a very comfortable, I think, 6-shot lead going into the final round now. So congrats to Scotty Scheffler. Unless Rory pulls one of those 61s out of his you-know-what. With that said, we'll send out a small action parlay. It's an intriguing board. Everyone, guys, you made it this far. Next week, again, we'll be concentrating on week 1 of the college football. There will be spots to take some swings in baseball as we get closer to the start of the NFL. Not this Thursday, next Thursday. I think Buffalo's now up to a -3, Scott, at the Rams.
I can tell you right now. Hang on one second. Buffalo, bookmakers -2.5.
Okay. 51.5?
52 at bookmaker.
52. Okay. So that game for me, one more draft on Wednesday night. Friday, Saturday, New York City, draft Friday night and Saturday, back to Cape Cod, and then to Logan Airport Sunday morning at 4:30 a.m. for a 6 o'clock flight to Vegas. So anyone out in Vegas from the 4th through the 10th, hit me up, go watch a game, grab some lunch, talk some shop, whatever you guys want to do. So with that said, behave yourselves today. Have some fun. It's Sunday fun day. It's family day, guys. It's the last full weekend of August. Go out, get your kids some school clothes, go to the beach, have a barbecue, play some pickleball, some cornhole, horseshoes, whatever you guys want to do. Have some fun with it. Football's back. If you need me, you can follow me at EC Sports Invest. If you need Scotty, you can follow him at Webby20MLB. With that, we'll be back next week. Same time, same bat station. We will figure out who's on, who's not on, who's taking another final week of vacation, and we'll go from there. So enjoy yourselves. Hit us up if you need us, and we will see you soon. Actually, no. We'll see you next week. How's that sound?